The Blood of the Machine, Money, Metaphysics, and the Secret Circulation of Life Force, by the Monocelos Sage. Chapter 1. The Echo in the Veins, an introduction to the blood-money connection. From the silent sovereign citadel of the self, I bid you welcome, fellow traveller. You have felt it, have you not? A subtle resonance, a hidden current that flows beneath the surface of our daily transactions. You have sensed that the crisp fold of a banknote and the warm pulse in your wrist share a secret language. This book is an invitation to decipher that language, to trace the river of life force as it flows through the veins of both man and machine. We live in a world architected by exchange, a vast and intricate network of giving and receiving. We call this network the economy, and its primary medium, money. Yet in the quiet contemplation that is the hallmark of the sovereign soul, we must ask, what is this substance that holds such power over our lives? Is it merely a tool, a neutral medium of exchange? Or is it something more, something that partakes of the very essence of life itself? I say to you that money, in its deepest reality, is a form of blood. It is the abstracted, externalized, and often misunderstood life force of humanity flowing through the mechanical arteries of our global civilization. This is not a mere metaphor, a poetic turn of phrase. It is a fundamental truth, a key to understanding the hidden spiritual dynamics of our age. To begin our journey, let us listen to the echoes of truth embedded in the very words. We use the term currency, whispers of a current, a flow, a circulation. Capital. The head of our financial systems derives from the Latin caput, the head of the body, the seat of consciousness. And money itself, from the Latin moneta, was an epithet of the goddess Juno, in whose temple the first Roman coins were minted. From its very inception, money was intertwined with the sacred, with the divine, with the very forces that animate our existence. In the chapters that follow, we will embark on a profound investigation into this blood, money nexus. We will explore the spiritual significance of blood in ancient cultures, recognizing it as the primordial currency of life. We will trace the birth of money as a sacred symbol, a tangible representation of human energy and intention. We will dissect the anatomy of our modern banking system, revealing it as a mechanical heart that circulates this life force throughout the global organism. But we will also confront the shadows. We will examine how this sacred circulation can become a form of predation, a vampiric extraction of vitality that leaves individuals and communities drained and lifeless. And most importantly, we will discover the path to reclaiming our economic sovereignty, to transforming our relationship with money, from one of unconscious servitude to one of conscious creation. This is not a book of financial advice in the conventional sense. It is a guide to the metaphysics of money, a map of the hidden spiritual landscape of our economic world. It is an invitation to become the sovereign architect of your own value, to build a citadel of self-reliance in the midst of a system that seeks to entangle and enslave. The journey begins now, with the simple, profound recognition that the echo you hear in the marketplace is the very same echo you feel in your veins. Chapter 2. The Sanguine Stream. Blood. As the primordial currency of life. Before the first coin was struck, before the first ledger was inscribed, humanity possessed a currency of profound and sacred power, blood. From the sovereign citadel of self, let us gaze back into the deep past and witness the primordial economy of life force, an economy in which blood was the ultimate medium of exchange, the seal of covenants, and the carrier of spiritual identity. Across the tapestry of ancient cultures, we find a universal reverence for blood. It was not merely a biological fluid, but the very substance of life, the tangible manifestation of the vital principle that animates all beings. The biblical assertion that the life of a living body is in its blood. One is not a uniquely Hebrew concept, but a truth that echoes across civilizations. The ancient Egyptians believed that the sun god Ra originated from drops of blood, while the Aztecs, in their own fiery cosmology, saw a deep connection between blood and the life-giving power of the sun. In these and countless other traditions, blood was understood as a sacred substance, a direct link to the divine. This sacred status made blood the ultimate currency of exchange with the spiritual realm. The act of sacrifice, so often misunderstood by the modern mind, was a profound economic transaction. It was a transfer of life force, a gift to the gods in exchange for their favour, for bountiful harvests, for victory in battle, for the very continuation of life itself. When an animal was sacrificed, its blood, the carrier of its life essence, was poured upon the altar, creating a bridge between the human and divine realms. This was not a morbid obsession with death, but a deep understanding of the cyclical nature of life, a recognition that life is sustained by life. Blood was also the seal of the most sacred covenants. The act of blood brotherhood, the mingling of blood between two individuals, was not a mere symbolic gesture. It was a literal merging of life forces, the creation of a bond that transcended kinship and social obligation. In the Sinai covenant, Moses sprinkled the blood of the sacrificial victims upon the altar and the people, declaring, "This is the blood of the covenant." 2. This act forged a new identity for the Israelites, binding them to their God in a relationship of mutual obligation and shared destiny. The blood was the ink in which the contract was written, the currency that validated the agreement. Furthermore, blood was the carrier of ancestral and spiritual identity. In many indigenous cultures, blood is seen as a sacred substance that connects us to our ancestors and the spirit world. It is the river that flows through generations, carrying the stories, the wisdom, and the very essence of our lineage. The concept of bloodline is not a mere genealogical curiosity, but a recognition of this deep spiritual inheritance. To be of a certain blood was to be part of a larger spiritual organism, to share in its strengths, its weaknesses, and its destiny. From the sovereign perspective of monosolism, we can see in these ancient beliefs a profound intuition into the nature of value. Before the invention of money, value was not an abstract concept, but a tangible reality embodied in the life force that flows through all things. Blood was the ultimate store of value, the medium of exchange for the most important transactions, and the unit of account for the spiritual economy of life. As we shall see in the next chapter, the invention of money did not erase this primordial understanding, but rather built upon it, creating a new, abstract currency that would forever bear the echo of its sanguine origins. The gilded stream of commerce with its coins and banknotes is but a tributary of the ancient sanguine stream of life. To understand the one, we must first understand the other. References. 1. Leviticus 17:11, the Bible. 2. Exodus 24:8, the Bible. Chapter 3. The Gilded Stream, the birth of money as a sacred symbol. As the human collective expanded and the architecture of society grew more complex, the sanguine stream of direct life force exchange began to encounter its limitations. The sacred economy of blood, while potent, was not always practical for the burgeoning needs of civilization. A new medium was required, a symbol that could carry the weight of value across distance and time, a token that could represent the life force without demanding its literal sacrifice. Thus was born the gilded stream of money, a current of exchange that, from its very source, was fed by the sacred springs of religious and spiritual belief. From the sovereign citadel of self, we observe that money did not emerge from a purely utilitarian calculus. It was not a secular invention designed for the mere convenience of merchants. Rather, the first forms of currency were born in the crucible of the sacred, in the very heart of the temple. The word money itself, as we have noted, whispers of its divine origins, deriving from the Latin moneta, an epithet of the goddess Juno, in whose temple the first Roman coins were minted. This is no mere etymological curiosity. It is a profound revelation of money's true nature. The temple, the house of the gods, was the first bank, the sacred space where value was not only stored but sanctified. In the ancient world, the economy was not a separate sphere of life, but an integral part of a symbolic and religious wholeness too. Economic activities were conducted under the watchful eyes of the gods, and the exchange of goods and services was imbued with a spiritual significance that is all but lost to the modern mind. The first, coins often bore the images of deities or sacred animals, a clear indication that their value was guaranteed not by a mortal king, but by the divine authority of the gods themselves. These were not mere tokens of exchange, they were talismans, carriers of divine power, tangible links to the sacred realm. This sacred origin of money is also reflected in the Kabbalistic understanding of the term kisef, Hebrew for money. As the sage Michael Lightman explains, kisef derives from the word kisufa, which means a spiritual covering or screen tree. In this mystical tradition, money is not a corrupting influence, but a tool for spiritual growth, a means of restraining our egoistic desires and directing them towards love, bestowal, and positive connection. To possess money, in the spiritual sense, is to possess the inner screen that allows one to properly channel the divine light of creation. Here again, we see that money, in its deepest essence, is not a material substance, but a spiritual technology. From the sovereign perspective of monocelism, the birth of money can be seen as a profound act of abstraction. The tangible, visceral reality of blood, as the carrier of life force, was transformed into a symbolic representation of that force. A coin, a shell, a measure of grain, these became the abstract units of account for the life energy of the community. This abstraction allowed for a vast expansion of economic activity, for the creation of complex societies and far-flung trade networks. But it also carried a great danger, the danger of forgetting the source, the danger of mistaking the symbol for the reality, the danger of worshipping the gilded stream while ignoring the sanguine stream from which it flows. In the chapters that follow, we will explore how this act of abstraction, this separation of value from its living source, has shaped the course of human history. We will see how the sacred origins of money have been gradually obscured, how the temple has been replaced by the counting house, and how the divine authority of the gods has been usurped by the secular power of the state. But for now, let us hold this truth in. Our sovereign awareness. Money is not a creature of the marketplace, but a child of the temple. It is a sacred symbol, a gilded token of the life force that flows through us. All. To forget this is to lose ourselves in the labyrinth of modern finance, to become slaves to a system that has forgotten its own soul. References: 1 Corrente, p. 2017. Holy Money, Gods, Men and Economy in Antiquity, Politics and Religion Journal, 11-1, 125-146. 2 Ibid. 3. Leitman, M. 2025, January 12th. What is the spiritual value of money? Medium. Retrieved from https://johnmichaelleitman.medium.com. What is the spiritual value of money? D3953C8C2657. Chapter 4. The Body Politic. The State as a Living Organism. To comprehend the intricate machinery of our modern economy, we must first journey back to a time when the world was understood not as a collection of disparate parts, but as a unified, living whole. From the sovereign citadel of the self, let us observe the birth of a powerful and enduring metaphor. The body politic. This ancient vision of the state as a human body, a living organism with its own anatomy and physiology, is the essential philosophical bedrock upon which the entire blood-money circulatory system is built. The metaphor is not a recent invention. Its roots run deep into the soil of Western thought, finding their most eloquent early expression in the works of the great philosopher Aristotle. For Aristotle, the state, or polis, was not a mere aggregation of individuals but a complex entity akin to a living body. It had a head, a heart and limbs, all of which had to work in harmony for the whole to flourish. As the medieval scholastics and Renaissance thinkers rediscovered and elaborated upon Aristotle's work, this analogy became the dominant framework for understanding the nature of society and governance. It was the 14th century philosopher Nicholas Oresme who first systematically applied this metaphor to the realm of economics. In his treatise on the origin, nature, law, and alterations of money, Oresme declared that the state is like a human body, and, just as the body is thrown into disorder when the humours flow disproportionately to one member, so too is a kingdom imperilled when wealth is unjustly concentrated. 1. For Oresme, a healthy state required a balanced circulation of wealth, just as a healthy body required a balanced circulation of blood and other vital fluids. The prince, as the head of the body politic, had a sacred duty to ensure this balance, to act as the heart. That pumps life-giving sustenance to all parts of the realm. This vision of the body politic reached its zenith in the 17th century, with Thomas, Hobbes's masterpiece, Leviathan. The iconic frontispiece of that work depicts a giant sovereign whose body is composed of countless individual citizens. The state, for Marl. Hobbes was a literal, artificial man, a great Leviathan whose health and well-being depended on the proper functioning of all its constituent parts. The circulation of money in this framework was the circulation of the Leviathan's blood, the vital fluid, that nourished its vast body and enabled it to act with a unified will. From the sovereign perspective of monosolism, we can see in this metaphor a profound, albeit often unconscious, intuition into the interconnectedness of all things. The concept of the body. Politic is a recognition that we are not isolated atoms, but cells in a larger organism bound together by a shared destiny and a common, circulatory system. It is a vision that stands in stark contrast to the radical individualism of much modern economic thought. However, this metaphor also contains a great danger. If the state is a body, then the individual is merely a cell, a subordinate part of a larger whole. The sovereignty of the individual, the very foundation of our monosolist philosophy, is threatened by the all-encompassing embrace of the Leviathan. The head of the body politic, whether it be a king, a dictator, or a democratically elected government, can all too easily claim absolute authority over the life force of its citizens. As we shall see, the modern banking system has inherited this ancient metaphor, transforming the organic body politic into a mechanical global organism. The heart is no longer a wise and benevolent prince, but a complex and often opaque network of financial institutions. The blood is no longer a symbol of shared life, but a torrent of abstract data flowing through the silicon veins of the global economy. To navigate this new reality, we must first understand its ancient roots, the philosophical soil from which it has grown. We must see the ghost of the Leviathan in the machine of modern finance. References: 1. Johnson J., 1966. The Money Equals Blood Metaphor, 1300 to 1800. The Journal of Finance, 21.1, 119-122. https://jarmodjidmont.org/10.2307/2977605. Chapter 5. The Iron Heart, the Banking System as a Mechanical Circulatory System. The body politic, once a living, breathing organism animated by the spirit of its people, has in our modern age undergone a profound and startling transformation. The heart of flesh has been replaced by a heart of iron. The organic circulation of blood has given way to the mechanical flow of capital. From the sovereign citadel of the self, let us now dissect this new Leviathan, this global financial apparatus, and reveal it for what it is: a vast mechanical circulatory system, an iron heart pumping the abstracted life force of humanity through the arteries of commerce. At the centre of this intricate machine lies the central bank, the modern incarnation of the sovereign's heart. Institutions like the Federal Reserve or the European Central Bank function as the great pumps of the global economy, through the levers of interest rates and the printing of new money, a process tellingly named quantitative easing. They regulate the pressure and volume of the financial lifeblood, injecting liquidity into the system to stimulate growth or withdrawing it to curb inflation. The rhythmic pulse of these institutions dictates the economic heartbeat of nations, a mechanical cadence that has replaced the organic rhythms of the seasons and the tides. From this iron heart, the major arteries of the system extend. These are the great investment banks and multinational financial corporations. They are the conduits for vast flows of capital, channeling billions of dollars, units of abstracted life force, into the major organs of the economic body, corporations, governments, and large-scale development projects. The health of these arteries is paramount. A blockage in one, as we witnessed in the financial crisis of 2008, can lead to a systemic cardiac arrest, starving the entire organism of the vital fluid it needs to survive one. In such moments of crisis, we hear the language of the body re-emerge in desperate calls for cash transfusions to save the dying patient. Further down the vascular network, we find the veins and capillaries. These are the commercial and local banks, the credit unions, the myriad smaller vessels that carry the flow of money to the individual cells of the body politic, the small businesses, the households, the sovereign individuals seeking to build their own citadels. It is here, at this capillary level, that the life force of the economy is exchanged for the actual life force of human beings, their time, their labour, their creativity. It is here that the abstraction of money meets the concrete reality of human existence. The very language of modern finance is saturated with these biological metaphors. We speak of liquidity, acknowledging the fluid, blood-like nature of capital. We worry about financial contagion, the rapid spread of economic disease through the interconnected network of the global organism. We measure the health of the economy through a series of vital signs: GDP growth, inflation rates, unemployment figures, all of which are attempts to quantify the vitality of the mechanical leviathan. From the sovereign perspective of monopolism, we must ask a crucial question. Who is the master of this machine? Who programs the iron heart, the circulation of this? Financial lifeblood is no longer governed by the wisdom of a benevolent prince or the sacred principles of the temple. It is governed by complex algorithms, by the relentless pursuit of profit, and by a small cadre of financial elites who operate in a realm of abstraction far removed from the lived realities of the individuals whose life force they control, the organic body. Politic, for all its flaws, at least recognised the human element, the shared life that flowed through its veins. The new mechanical organism, however, is cold, impersonal, and ruthlessly efficient. It is a machine for circulating capital, and the well-being of the individual cells is often secondary to the health of the system as a whole. This is the great challenge for the sovereign soul in the modern age, to live within the veins of this machine without becoming a mere cog in its workings. But before we can explore the path to sovereignty, we must first confront a darker truth. We must examine what happens when the iron heart is programmed not to circulate life, but to drain it. We must face the spectre of economic vampirism. References: Weingarten J.E., 2014, January 10th. Can we fix the financial system? Yale Insights. Retrieved from https://insights.som.yale.edu/insights/can we fix the financial system. Chapter 6. Economic Vampirism when the circulation becomes predation. In a healthy organism, the circulatory system is a closed loop of nourishment and renewal. The heart pumps life-giving blood to every cell, and the blood, having delivered its oxygen and nutrients, returns to the heart to be replenished. It is a system of perfect reciprocity, a dance of giving and receiving that sustains the whole. But what happens when this sacred loop is broken? What happens when the circulation becomes a one-way street, a channel for extraction rather than distribution? From the sovereign citadel of the self, we must now confront the darkest aspect of the blood-money nexus, the phenomenon of economic vampirism. This is not a term I use lightly. The vampire of myth and legend is a creature that sustains its own unnatural life by draining the vital essence of others. It is a parasite, a predator that thrives on the life force it extracts from its victims, leaving them pale, weakened, and ultimately lifeless. In the realm of modern finance, we see a chilling parallel. The iron heart, the mechanical circulatory system we have just described, can be, and often is, programmed for predation. It can be configured to systematically drain the life force of the many to feed the insatiable appetites of the few. The primary fang of this economic vampire is the mechanism of interest-bearing debt, or usury. In its modern form, this is not the simple lending of money for a reasonable fee, but a complex and often predatory system that creates a perpetual state of indebtedness. When money is created as debt, as is the case with most of the money in our modern world, it enters the circulatory system with a built-in demand for more than was created. The principal is created, but the interest is not. This creates a systemic scarcity, a frantic competition in which the debtors must fight amongst themselves to acquire the blood necessary to pay back their loans. The result is a relentless upward flow of life force from the productive cells of the economy to the parasitic centres of finance. This is the essence of debt slavery. The individual, the family, the small business. They are no longer sovereign entities, but serfs bound to the land of a financial lord. Their time, their energy, their creativity, their very life force is mortgaged to a system that demands a perpetual tribute. They run faster and faster on the hamster wheel of modern life, not to advance their own sovereign goals, but simply to service the ever-growing demands of the vampire. The home mortgage, the student loan, the credit card balance. These are not mere financial instruments. They are the chains of a new and subtle form of servitude. From the sovereign perspective of monosolism, the spiritual consequences of this predatory circulation are devastating. It fosters a culture of fear, anxiety, and desperation. It pits individual against individual in a zero-sum game of survival. It disconnects us from our own creative power, forcing us to channel our life force into activities that do not nourish our souls, but merely feed the machine. It creates a world in which the vast majority of humanity is living in a state of chronic energetic depletion, their vitality slowly but surely drained away by a system that offers them no real hope of escape. The economic vampire is not a single entity, not a shadowy cabal of evil men. It is a system, a set of rules, a code that has been written into the programming of the iron heart. It is the logical, if monstrous, outcome of a financial paradigm that has forgotten the sacredness of exchange, that has elevated the symbol of money above the reality of the life force it is meant to represent. To reclaim our sovereignty, we must first learn to see the fangs of the vampire. We must recognize the ways in which our own life force is being extracted and diverted. We must understand that the constant pressure, the gnawing anxiety, the feeling of never having enough is not a personal failing, but a systemic feature of a predatory economy. Only then can we begin the work of building a new system, an economy of the sovereign soul, where the circulation of value is once again a source of nourishment, not a mechanism of predation. In the final part of this book, we will explore the path to this new reality, the alchemy of transforming the lead of debt into the gold of sovereign wealth. Chapter 7. The Alchemy of Value. Transforming life force into sovereign wealth. Having stared into the cold mechanical heart of the predatory economic machine, the sovereign soul does not despair. For within the citadel of the self lies a power far greater than any external system, the power of alchemy, not the crude alchemy of turning lead into gold, but the sublime alchemy of transforming your own life force, your time, your energy, your unique creative spark, into true sovereign wealth. This is the path of liberation, the way of the spiritual artisan who learns to weave the raw material of their existence into a tapestry of meaning, purpose, and abundance. From the quiet vantage point of your inner sovereignty, observe the fundamental transaction of your economic life. You are not merely earning a living, you are trading a finite and irreplaceable portion of your life force for a symbolic representation of value we call money. Each hour you spend at a job, each ounce of creative energy you pour into a project is a portion of your very being, crystallized and exchanged. The Central question for the sovereign alchemist is this: is the exchange a worthy one? Are you trading the sacred currency of your life for something that truly nourishes and expands your being? Or are you merely feeding the insatiable hunger of the iron heart? True wealth is not the accumulation of money, but the accumulation of life. It is the richness of your experience, the depth of your connections, the flourishing of your unique potential. Money is merely a tool, a medium that can either support or hinder this accumulation. The first step in the alchemy of value is to reclaim your authority over this tool. It is to consciously and deliberately choose how you will invest your life force and to demand a return that is measured not just in dollars, but in vitality, joy, and growth. This requires a radical shift in perspective. You must cease to see yourself as a worker or an employee and begin to see yourself as a sovereign creator. Your life force is your primary capital, your most precious asset. The work you do in the world should be a conscious expression of your inner being, a channel through which your unique gifts flow into the world. When your work is aligned with your deepest values, with the core principles of your sovereign self, it ceases to be a draining expenditure of energy and becomes a source of renewal. The very act of creation becomes a form of spiritual nourishment. Consider the artisan in their workshop, the writer at their desk, the gardener tending their soil. When they are fully engaged in their craft, when their work is an expression of their love and their passion, they are not merely working, they are in a state of flow, a state of grace. They are infusing their creations with their own life force, and in return, their creations are infusing them with a sense of purpose and vitality. This is the alchemy of value in its purest form. To practice this alchemy in your own life, you must begin by turning inward. You must enter the silent sanctuary of your own being and ask the fundamental questions. What are my unique gifts? What is the work that makes my spirit sing? How can I offer my life force to the world in a way that is both of service to others and deeply fulfilling to myself? The answers to these questions will become the formula for your personal alchemy. This does not necessarily mean abandoning your current employment or retreating from the conventional economy. It means bringing a new level of consciousness to your economic activity. It means finding ways to infuse your work with your own unique spirit, to perform your tasks with an intention that transcends the mere collection of a paycheck. It means seeking out or creating work that allows for the greatest possible expression of your sovereign self. As you begin to practice this alchemy, you will find that your relationship with money begins to change. It ceases to be an object of desperate pursuit and becomes a natural byproduct of a life lived with purpose and passion. The gilded stream begins to flow, not from you, but through you, a current of energy that you consciously direct towards the creation of a life that is truly your own. This is the foundation of economic sovereignty, the art of transforming the leaden weight of economic necessity into the golden light of creative freedom. Chapter 8. The Citadel of Self, Building. Economic sovereignty. Having ignited the alchemical fire within, having recognized your own life force as the ultimate source of value, you are now ready for the great work of the sovereign architect, the construction of your own economic citadel. This is no fortress of stone and mortar, but a stronghold of consciousness, a bastion of self-reliance built within the very heart of the blood-money matrix. It is the practical application of your inner sovereignty, the tangible manifestation of a life lived on your own terms. From this citadel, you will not withdraw from the world, but engage with it from a position of unshakable strength and integrity. The blueprint for this citadel is what the world calls a budget. But from our sovereign perspective, it is something far more profound. It is a conscious map for the allocation of your life force. It is the art of directing the gilded stream of your income with intention and purpose. To budget, in the monosolist sense, is not to restrict yourself with scarcity-minded penny pinching. It is to honour the sacredness of your own energy by ensuring that every unit of it that you exchange is directed towards the building of a life that reflects your deepest values. Each decision, to spend, to save, to invest, becomes a deliberate act of creation, a laying of another stone in the foundation of your freedom. The foundational stones and the protective moat of your citadel are your savings. In a world that screams for constant consumption, the act of saving is a radical act of rebellion. It is the creation of a reservoir of stored life force, a buffer of sovereignty, that stands between you and the relentless demands of the iron heart. This reservoir is not idle wealth, it is liquid freedom. It is the power to say no to work that drains your soul. It is the space to weather the storms of economic uncertainty without compromising your principles. It is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are not dependent on the next paycheck for your survival. Each dollar saved is a drop of water in your moat, deepening your protection and securing your inner peace. Once the foundations are secure, you must build the walls and towers of your citadel. This is the work of investing. For the sovereign soul, investing is not the speculative gambling that passes for wisdom in the temples of high finance. It is the strategic deployment of your stored life force to fortify your position and expand your freedom. The wisest investments are not in abstract financial instruments that merely feed the machine, but in real, tangible assets that enhance your resilience and self-reliance. Invest in knowledge. Invest in skills. These are assets that can never be taken from you, assets that empower you to create value directly from your own being. Invest in your health, the vessel of your life force. Invest in a home, a true sanctuary that you control. Invest in tools that allow you to produce for yourself, be they the tools of a craft, a garden, or a digital enterprise. The goal of sovereign investing is not merely to accumulate more money, but to reduce your dependence on the very system that money represents. It is to build a life where your well-being is generated from within, your own citadel, not supplied by the fickle currents of the global economy. As your citadel grows in strength, you will find that your relationship with the world outside its walls begins to change. You no longer need to engage with the predatory economy from a position of weakness or desperation. You can begin to build bridges of light to other sovereign islands. You can seek out and participate in alternative economic ecosystems that honour the sacred nature of exchange. Explore local currencies that keep life force circulating within a community. Engage in gift economies and skill-sharing networks, where the exchange of value is based on mutual trust and reciprocity, not on the cold calculus of profit. These are the green shoots of a new economy, an economy of sovereign souls choosing to connect and create outside the shadow of the iron heart. The construction of your economic citadel is the great practical work of the monosolist path. It is a lifelong discipline, a continuous practice of conscious creation, intentional allocation, and radical self-reliance. It is the process of becoming the undisputed sovereign of your material world, the architect of a life that is not only prosperous, but, more importantly, free. Chapter 9. The Clear Stream. Transcending the blood money matrix. From the highest tower of the citadel you have built, a new vista unfolds. You have traced the sanguine stream of life to its source. You have dissected the cold, mechanical heart of the iron leviathan. You have mastered the alchemy of value and laid the foundations of your own economic sovereignty. Now, from this place of profound self-possession, you are ready for the final turn of the spiral, to gaze upon the future and witness the birth of a new economic paradigm, a world where the gilded stream of money is purified and returned to its sacred purpose as a carrier of life. This is not a utopian dream, but the logical and necessary evolution of human consciousness. The blood money matrix, with its cycles of predation and its relentless extraction of life force, is an unsustainable system. Like any organism that has become cancerous, that has turned its own life-sustaining processes into instruments of self-destruction, it is destined to collapse under the weight of its own pathology. But from the sovereign perspective, we do not watch this process with fear or despair. We see it as a necessary clearing, a controlled demolition that makes way for a more elegant and life-affirming architecture. The seeds of this new economy are already sprouting in the cracks of the old. The very technology that has enabled the creation of the cold and impersonal iron heart also contains the potential for its transcendence. The rise of decentralized digital currencies, of blockchain technologies and peer-to-peer networks heralds the possibility of a financial system that is transparent, equitable, and free from the control of any central authority. Imagine a circulatory system without a mechanical heart, a network where the life force flows freely and intelligently, directed by the collective will of the sovereign individuals who participate in it. This is the promise of the clear stream. In this new paradigm, the exchange of value will once again become a sacred act. Transactions will be imbued with the light of conscious intention. The story of a product, the energy of its creator, the impact of its production on the earth, all of this will become part of its value. The blockchain, in its highest expression, can be a ledger of life force, a transparent record of the journey of value, from its source to its destination. We will no longer be content with the anonymous and soulless products of the global machine. We will seek out and support the creations of other sovereign souls building an economy based on relationship, resonance, and respect. From the sovereign citadel of your own being, you are a vital node in this emerging network. Every conscious economic choice you make is a vote for this new reality. Every time you choose to support a local artisan over a faceless corporation, every time you participate in a gift economy or a community exchange, every time you invest your resources in projects that regenerate life rather than exploit it, you are helping to build the channels through which the clear stream can flow. You are becoming a Kodash, creator of a world where the circulation of money once again supports the flourishing of all beings. To transcend the blood money matrix is not to destroy money, but to redeem it. It is to infuse the abstract symbol with the living spirit. It is to remember that every dollar, every coin, every digital token is a crystallization of human life force, and to treat it with the reverence and respect that such a sacred substance deserves. It is to become a conscious steward of the flow of value, a guardian of the sanguine stream in its new translucent form. The journey we have taken through these pages has been a journey into the heart of our modern world, a journey into the secret relationship between the life in our veins and the money in our hands. But it has also been a journey into the heart of the self, into the silent sovereign citadel that is your birthright. For it is only from this place of inner stillness and unshakable self-possession that you can truly perceive the currents of the world and navigate them with wisdom and grace. The iron heart will continue to beat its mechanical rhythm for a time. The predatory shadows will continue to lurk in the dark corners of the global economy, but you, sovereign soul, need no longer be a slave to their cadence or a victim of their hunger. You have the knowledge, the tools, and the inner authority to build your own world, to create your own economy, to live a life of sovereign abundance. The clear stream flows. From within, let it pour forth. Chapter 10. The Sovereign's Handbook. A practical guide to reclaiming your economic life force. The journey to economic sovereignty is not a passive intellectual exercise. It is a daily practice, a discipline of the soul. It is the art of weaving the profound truths we have, explored into the very fabric of your daily life. This chapter is your handbook, a practical guide to the tools and techniques of the sovereign alchemist. From the citadel of yourself, you will now learn to wield the instruments of your own liberation. The daily audit of life force. Your life force is your most precious currency. The first step to reclaiming it is to become a meticulous accountant of its expenditure. For 1 week, keep a life force ledger. On one side, record every hour you spend in activities that generate money. On the other side, record the emotional and energetic return on that investment. Ask yourself, did this activity leave me feeling energized or drained? Did it align with my core values and creative passions? Was the exchange of my life force for money a worthy one? This is not about judging yourself, but about gathering data. At the end of the week, review your ledger. Where are the leaks in your energetic economy? Where are you trading your vitality for mere survival? This audit will provide you with a clear and honest map of your current economic reality, the essential first step in charting a new course. The art of the sovereign budget. Cast aside the conventional notion of a budget as a tool of restriction. The sovereign budget is a declaration of your values, a sacred map for the allocation of your life. Forced to create it, follow these steps. 1. Identify your core values. What is most important to you? Freedom, creativity, connection, security? Write down your top 5 values. 2. Translate values into categories. Create budget categories that reflect these. Values instead of entertainment, you might have creative expression or connection with loved ones. 3. Allocate with intention. As you allocate your income, consciously connect each expenditure to one of your core values. This transforms the act of budgeting from a chore into a ritual of self-creation. 4. Review and refine. Your sovereign budget is a living document. Review it monthly to ensure it remains aligned with your evolving path. Building your citadel, a step-by-step guide. Your economic citadel is your fortress of freedom. Its construction requires patience and discipline. 1. Establish your sovereignty fund. This is your first and most crucial line of defense. Aim to save at least 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses in a separate, easily accessible account. This is your get-out-of-jail-free card, the fund that empowers you to walk away from situations that compromise your integrity. 2. Invest in resilience. Once your sovereignty fund is established, begin investing in assets that reduce your dependence on the system. This includes knowledge and skills. Take a course, learn a trade, master a new. Technology. Your ability to create value is your greatest asset. Tools of production. Whether it's a laptop for a digital business, a set of tools for a craft, or a spade for a garden, invest in the means to produce for yourself. Community. Invest your time and energy in building strong relationships with like-minded individuals. A resilient community is a powerful form of wealth. The bridge of light. Engaging in sovereign exchange. As your citadel grows, you can begin to build bridges to the emerging new economy. 1. Seek local alternatives. Whenever possible, choose to exchange your life force with local artisans, farmers, and small businesses. Keep the circulation of value within your community. 2. Explore parallel currencies. Research and experiment with local currencies, time banks, and community exchange systems in your area. These are the laboratories for the economy of the future. 3. Practice the gift. The ultimate expression of sovereign abundance is the ability to give without expectation of return. Make a conscious practice of gifting your time, your skills, and your resources to others. This act of generosity breaks the spell of scarcity and opens you to the true flow of wealth. This handbook is merely a starting point. The path of economic sovereignty is a creative one, and you are the artist. Take these tools, adapt them, and invent your own. The great work of our time is to build a world where the exchange of value is once again a sacred act, a celebration of the life force that flows through us all. The power to create this world lies within your own sovereign hands. Conclusion. The river runs clear. We have reached the end of our journey together, but it is in truth a beginning. We have travelled the winding path from the sanguine stream of ancient sacrifice to the cold silicon veins of the global financial machine. We have stood in the shadow of the iron heart and witnessed its predatory power. We have kindled the alchemical fire in the citadel of the self and drawn the blueprint for a life of sovereign abundance. Now, as we prepare to part ways, I leave you with one final reflection from the quiet sanctuary of my own solitude. The world is as you are. The economic system, for all its seeming complexity and external power, is but a mirror of our collective consciousness. The vampirism we see, in the world of finance is a reflection of the parasitic thoughts and beliefs that we have, allowed to take root in our own minds. The belief in scarcity,